I'm Rachel.
I'm Solon.
And we are Great Northern. I guess we've just always written everything together, and we just finally decided to downsize the band to us two and then hire amazing people to play with us, as opposed to trying to keep up a band. It got a little bit, got to be too much. So this is kind of how it's always been, and now it's more solidified, clear. I think it feels pretty good now. It feels like...
It's pretty natural. It was, like we've had the bass player that we're playing with, we've had him now for a while, probably about a year and a half. And, you know, the drummer's a friend of his that he's known for 15 years, and keyboard player, she's a friend of a friend, so it's not too, I don't know. But as far as making it just us two, yeah, I think we tried to have like it a certain way for a while, and then just came back to
Came full circle to how
it's just easier at this point. Maybe it'll change again, or maybe it won't. But
I think it was stressful at the time, but it's so freeing now because it feels like we're in the flow of everything with this group we have going now, and like it just feels good. It was just really emotionally demanding, and we went into the situation wanting to work with producers that would, you know, really kick our asses and question what we were doing and help us make the songs better, you know. And we had never been in a situation like that before, where you bring all your songs that you've been demoing on to people and then have them tell you what, you know, what they think about them. So it was vulnerable and scary, but the end result we're both really happy with. You know, it was good that we decided to go there and be really honest with ourselves and with the songs. Even if it was really hard and we wanted to give up, we just kept going, and it's totally worth it.
it was just a new experience. We'd never worked with a producer, and having someone tell you that, you know, oh, well, yeah, you worked on this song and maybe it's 5 minutes, but 5 seconds of it's really going somewhere. You have to kind of be able to check your ego, and which is impossible to completely do, but at least try to listen to it and go, okay, you know, well, they had this idea about this song and it went this way, and, you know, and it was nice to have guidelines, I think, because we'll just be at home and we'll just write and record and just keep going and layering and not really have a lot of structure sometimes. So it was good for somebody, almost like having homework. So being back in school or something, and saying, okay, go home and work on this and this and this. So we would write, but, you know, we had somebody just kind of helping out with the outline of, like, you need to write this, or you need to whatever, you know, new lyrics, new.
Yeah, like
so
take a
it's cool.
snippet from one song and another song, go home at night and put them together and make them work. And so it was exciting. It was like being back in school. We'd go home and put it together and then bring it back and be like, what do you think? You know, and some things you know when it's right, and other things you have no idea.
I love taking stuff home. I never finished class projects in class. I always took them home.
Yeah.
The paper mache head that you had to make out of a balloon or something.
More comfortable
I'd take
at home
it home.
with the paper mache head.
I think we'll probably continue to change the way we record, but just knowing how important structure is while you're doing it, and really utilizing your time, and, you know, not forcing things, but also not being lazy. There's like a balance with everything. So I don't know. I'm sure we'll hold on to some of the lessons that we learned from this record, but then we'll have whole new lessons for the next one. So.
We really wanted to bring it to the next level. You know, we wanted to put on a better show and have an intensity that we felt we were lacking before, you know, because we had songs that would go along in the same rhythm, but they would never really go to that place that's so satisfying and then come back down. So we really wanted to have the songs be satisfying like that. You know, when we went to see live bands throughout the year we were recording, it's like, yeah, like that or like that. You know, this is inspiring. As an audience member, you really have to bring it for the people to even be halfway interested. So we try to do that with this record, and then live we're trying to do the same thing, you know.
And you can feel it when you're playing parts live. You can feel when they're, you know, whether they're stagnant or it's kind of like just turns into like a monotonous thing or it keeps going, and that was something that we learned while recording the records. So now playing it live, we listen to the previous record and play those songs, and we're having to rework them. So like, not that they're bad songs, but just they're different, have a different energy. So trying to match them to this, it's I don't know.
It's been a lot.
Yeah, it's been a lot of stress, but it's really exciting at the same time. I feel like once you make a piece of art and you let it out there, it's not really, I mean, it's yours, but it's not really yours anymore. And you let people run with it or do what they will.
I think we got more specific on this record. We had a lot lyrically, a lot more abstract, broad spectrum type of statements that could do that. This record's definitely more personalized and specific. At least we tried to do that. But still, I think everybody will pull what they're feeling from it. You know, whatever's going on in your life is what you see when it's up there.
But it's hard. But it's almost
it's better.
It's easier in a way because it's like a release. You're just kind of like, okay. Once you look at something that is running around in your head, or you finally catch that little monster, you find out that you figure that it's much worse in your head than it is when you look at it. You can almost distance yourself from it and look at it and go, oh, that's not so bad. Or, you know, not that it's nothing, but it's just it's cathartic. It's, you know, and whether that's the song that she wrote or I wrote or we wrote, and somebody else hears it, maybe it becomes their song for something that they're going through, but it's a totally different thing. And it's one huge thing is learning people's creative process is a really hard thing to do, and it's still something that we're doing. That it's everybody's process is different as far as how you write a song, how much time it takes you to come up with a part, how one day you're in this emotional state to do this and the next you're not. It doesn't mean that it's not still there and you don't care about it. You can lose it. It's kind of fleeting feelings. They come and go. And but trying to learn how to, like, oh, you need this right now, so let me give that to you. Or I need this, give that to me. And when you're writing on your own, you don't have to worry about that. But when you're writing with somebody else, it becomes a whole other thing. And then, you know, throw two other people that we were working on the record with.
Everybody's
and then there's their moods too, or like what they need and their opinion, and one day they're feeling great and the next day they want to throw you through the window. Not for any particular reason, just that day I felt like throwing somebody through a window.
I agree. We've been writing together for like 6 years and we're still figuring out each other's creative process, and that's the more in sync we are with that, the more fluid the writing has become. And I think on this record we really, I don't know how to put it, jumped over some hurdles that we hadn't before. And it was hard because it was confrontational at times, but I learned a lot about how you were.
What you learned about each other?
It feels like a whole new band. It's weird. It feels, personally for me, it feels like it's like the first band I've ever been in. And I've been in bands since I was like 16. But there's something about what we're doing right now. I don't know if it's just where we're at in our lives or making this record or what, that feels really new and
the people we're with.
Just feels good.
Yeah.
It's exciting, you know?
You know, we'll play something one way for a while, and then we'll get bored, and like, okay, let's do it this way now. So I'm curious to see how these songs are going to sound in like 6 months or a couple months, because they'll just subtle changes for some things, but that's just kind of in our nature to change things a lot.
Well, I like changing it up.
You know, when you go see a band that has like,
Right.
I don't know, maybe they have, not that we're at that point, but a band that has like a song that you know, and you go and see them and they do it with an accordion and like a washboard or something, and you're like, okay, that's really cool. I can tell you're bored and maybe you've been playing it for a while, but you should play it for...
I think it's like new and interesting, but some people want to hear the song as is on the record.
Yeah, you should. I mean, you could change it up with subtle changes, but you're not writing songs solely because people will buy your record, but the fact that people do and they come to your shows, and that helps us out and means a lot to us. I want to give the respect back.
A show that has both. I like a little bit of variety like that. I mean, I'm open to it as an audience member, so I think maybe there's an audience full of people like me and people like him, you know, where Some people want it.
But much more like me.
The record, yeah, much more like him.
Idiots.